had to grab my camera and film this because I have a lot of thoughts in my head. And I think it's gonna be relevant what I'm gonna say here. There are a lot of cases now in the media. I see it in my country, I see it in US, I see it in the UK, about domestic violence. More precisely, domestic violence between men and women, couple domestic violence, where the victims are the women. Now, what I'm gonna say is, I know there is domestic violence where the victim is the man as well. But based on statistics, based on reality, based on experiences, there are more women being victims to domestic violence. And that is because of power dynamics that are correlated with how the society has been built over centuries. And they're also correlated to education, emotional power, emotional knowledge, emotional understanding, confidence as well, patterns in how you think you deserve to act in the world or towards your partner. And that can be taken in a good sense, but also it can be taken in a very negative sense, as in, I can do anything because I'm confident, or I am stronger, so I can hurt, either through words, verbally, either emotionally, or physically. Following a big case in my own country about this, which led to a big protest in Romania, which I'm very happy to see. This has been embedded in our culture for centuries. Domestic violence has been normalized, but I don't think it has been normalized only in my country. I think it's been normalized globally. Now, what I was trying, I lost my idea. What I was trying to say. Yes, because I've been reading a lot, watching videos about that as well. Sometimes even while I'm working, which is weird because I feel like mentally I'm in two minds. So there is always this question around abuse, or not only abuse. There is this question around dynamics, especially for people that are more on the victim spectrum. And here I'm not trying to explain or to bring a perception towards the word victim. Sometimes people can feel more powerful with the word victim, and other times it can feel less. There is that question that always pops up in conversations or around this topic, and that is why people don't leave, or why they don't speak immediately about what happens when it happens. That is because of power dynamics. And another reason why a lot of people show up with their stories, real stories, years or months after, is because of a mental and emotional process that goes around these experiences that are quite extreme. There is a process. Like with anything, when it comes down to evolution or transformation, or even personal evolution, mentally, emotionally, physically, there is a process. Now, people that went through heavy experiences like being an addict of something, being a drug addict, being an alcohol addict, and I'm going to concentrate only on these two addictions, they understand that process. It's like people that got out of it. It's an extremely difficult process to go through. Now, when it comes down to what I said, these addictions, they require as well sometimes medicine, formalized process that is led and directed by specialized people. But when it comes down to abuse, emotional, physical, even verbal, things are different because it's not like you have someone specialized next to you or in your brain all the time to make you realize what is the limit and where there is manipulation around the situation. And here I'm talking about the victims, because abusers most of the time they use all kinds of manipulation tactics. And here I'm talking about manipulation in from a negative angle, because manipulation sometimes can also be used for positive reinforcement. Like, for example, when you're not in your best mood today, but you tell yourself something that makes you, it's a little lie that makes you feel like, okay, the day is gonna get better. And the more repetitive it is gonna get better. There is another word for that, but it's a sort of manipulation if you think about it. It's manipulating your mind to think in a certain way, but it has a positive impact. But with abuse, it doesn't have a positive impact. Or maybe it does for the abuser because they feel stronger. But on a long term, I think even for the abuser, it doesn't have a positive impact, because sooner or later, we all pay emotionally, mentally, for every mistake that we do as human beings. When it comes down to this idea why people don't come earlier about their cases, is because of a lot of internalized beliefs that need to be unlocked so you can see the situation from an angle that is not only your truth, but it's not a defined truth, it's an absolute truth. It's something where there is clarity, where you're not convincing yourself that it's your fault. And even that, I'm gonna say, in most cases, and I watch a lot of documentaries about that. I've always been passionate, interested in anything related to the human psyche and human behavior, not only psyche and society. I think also belief that you deserve something bad comes as a consequence of someone making you believe that most of the time. And that applies in a lot of topics, but I'm gonna try to stick to this one. It's already 10 minutes. Yeah, why people don't come up front with certain experiences earlier? A lot of reasons. Sometimes it can be imposed restrictions, other times it can be self-imposed restrictions. It can be fear of different things. In the case of abuse, I think is fear to be judged or fear to be left alone if people don't believe you, but not being left alone in a good way, because that's not when you're choosing. That is being cornered, or thinking that you are overreacting or over exaggerating the situation, and it's also your fault. So that's connected with what I was saying probably 1 minute, 2 minutes ago. Another reason is also, as I said, the process of realizing your role in different scenarios, situations, events, life, and realizing your worth, which I think, if we look how this society has been built, it's been built based on fear. Um, it's been built based on thinking we are not worth good things of any kind, because we are imperfect as human beings, and because we are not enough and we should be more, or we should be less, we are too much. I think self-worth is a concept that has been more reinforced lately, publicly, by people that are specialized, by also people that went through different experiences and had the courage to speak about their journey. So yeah, there are multiple reasons why a victim, but again, a victim with a connotation of that is the role. You've been used in a certain way, overly used, I would say, for someone else benefit or at the cost of your pain, hurt, etc. And for me, what I can see is also for sometimes for abusers, because they manipulate others, they manipulate their own mind and brain. And even if somebody comes with proofs, other times they're not gonna acknowledge their mistakes, just because sometimes they are playing. And most abusers, and I'm talking about the high-end abusers, the ones that play double or even triple lives, where outside publicly they are the best people, the most charismatic, the kindest, and inside, between four walls, they can be activated in a certain way, if I can say that, in the worst way possible. And in that process, it is a double, triple, whatever. It is a switch, because it's just roles that are played at extreme costs. Now, we all play roles in life, and we all have to adapt. But with abusers, that is extreme. It's taken to another different level. And most of them, from what I've seen, analyzed, studied, even from my own experiences in the world, and being so curious in understanding people and understanding the world and etc., I think most of them, they are not able to recognize their own mistakes, at least not out loud. Maybe in their mind they can, because most of them, they are smart, but they're not gonna do it out loud, because that means that they need to recognize that they are imperfect just like everyone else. And there is a big fear inside that recognizing that is gonna make them feel less powerful. I hope it does make sense what I'm saying. At least for some people it will, and for other people maybe it won't now when they are seeing this video, but I'm pretty sure it will at some point in life if you rewatch it like this. Because sometimes you have to rewatch certain things, even reread books, or relook at certain situations or certain people, or even yourself, to understand better why you do certain things, why you've done it in that way, if that's you, if that's not you, if you want to improve it, if you can, if you don't want to improve that and you're fine with that. But yeah, I am diverging into other topics. But yeah, when it comes down to why people are not coming up front with their stories sooner or later, is because of different reasons. Another one could also be because you're trying to protect the other person, because you projected a certain image in your brain about a certain dynamic or about a certain person. And here we are talking about abuse usually happens with the closest people that you have in your life. It can be with your partner, it can be with your sister or a brother or a cousin or a mother or a father or a manager even, or any dynamics, any close interaction that you had with certain people, any intimate relations that you had with certain people. And when I say intimate, I don't mean sexual. I mean intimate as in someone that is experiencing you from a very close position, that spends time with you, that can see you in different scenarios. Close relationships, let's call it close relationships, all types of relationships. So yeah, and I think ultimately there is also a lot of shame, big shame, after you go through a very traumatic experience, and extreme in the sense of emotional abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. I think this is gonna be my vlog for this week. My intention before last week, I was thinking that the next vlog is gonna be a trip in Paris that I had in April, but it won't. So this is gonna be the one for this week, and next week probably is gonna be that one. Like a long time ago, when I was watching these kind of videos with other people talking about heavy topics, I would see people apologizing for bringing up heavy topics. I won't. And the reason for not apologizing for this is because the world is broken and we are broken as humans. And in order to unlock our brokenness and also accept it and also move on and evolve from it, there is a heavy need to start talking about real things and real life and topics that feel more hidden, I guess, or scary to talk about. I am a strong believer in humanity. I think we as humans, we are equally good and bad. And I also think the more we know about ourselves and the more we know about the world, we can do better. If we don't know, we're not gonna know where to do better. It's important. It's important to have conversations around heavy topics. It's important to talk with yourself about things that you experienced, whether they are positive or negative. It's important to understand where each of us we are doing our own mistakes and where we can contribute with our gifts, not to put each other down, but to face life, face reality, and also make it better. My intention with this space on YouTube is for me to be unscripted with the way I film and share life and bring myself here, hopefully to learn something or just be with people in this form as well, even though I'm talking with myself. I guess hopefully in time I will have more people joining this conversation in comments and shares. Yeah, but it's gonna take time. Take care. Take care of yourself and take care of one another. Bye. I was listening to the video and I have something very, very important to add. One reason I believe, I think, and I feel why abusers, most of them, they don't own their own mistake and responsibility for the consequences they created is also from fear from fear for paying for what they did. And when I say pay, it can mean in any kind of way. Sometimes we can pay as well with our mental health for facing those realities and the events, and then ruminating over those feelings of guilt and shame and etc. Other times it can be legally. Basically, I think when we pay for the consequences of our actions, we are tremendously scared of being, I guess, rejected over and over again. But even now, the rejection is not manageable. It's at a level where you can't manage yourself. And at that moment, in the case of abuse, for victims and also abusers, your existence is being shrinked in the event and after the event. And if there is consequences or facing that reality, basically you're going back to that event again. You're being shrinked again. Yeah. It's just like a SpongeBob that makes you feel that your existence is wrong, I guess. Yeah, these are the things that came in my mind. Important topic.